Well, this will be Thursday's video. Not sure if this will be the only one or not. You know, again, fingers crossed that the power comes on. Today's Wednesday. It comes on sometime today. You know, every day that goes by, I keep hoping the power comes back on that day. I think there's somewhere around 190,000 people who still don't have power in Hillsborough County. And we are one of them. So here is an interesting thing. You know, China, I've been talking about this for years. China has been gearing up for a long time to do away with a United States dollar world system. The things that we control, they start putting in place so that they will ultimately take control of someday. The SWIFT system that we use, they've already put something in place for them and Russia and the other BRICS nations and other countries too. So quick look surprised as the United States nails another nail in the coffin, hammers another nail into the coffin of the US dollar. And do you remember a webbot from years and years and years and years ago reports the death of the dollar meme? Death of the dollar, dying dollar, it's coming, it will happen. Tell me if this sounds like the death of the dollar to you. This is from Zero Hedge. U.S. threatens to cut off China from SWIFT if it violates North Korea sanctions. In an unexpectedly strong diplomatic escalation, one day after China agreed to vote alongside the U.S. and Russia during Monday's United National Security Council vote, National, I think nations, they wrote national, and passing the watered-down North Korea sanctions, the U.S. warned that if China were to violate or fail to comply with the newly imposed sanctions against Kim's regime, it could cut off Beijing's access to both the U.S. financial system as well as the international dollar system. You hear that, China? If you violate those terms that we put on them, you may not have access to the international dollar system. China is probably rolling on the floor laughing. You morons, we already have our international monetary system getting ready to go. It's going to be backed by gold, as we've been talking about recently. Oil trade, backed by gold, right? We were just talking about that the other day. From China. Speaking on CNBC's Delivering Alpha conference on Tuesday, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said that China had agreed to historic North Korean sanctions during Monday's United Nations vote. We worked very closely with the UN. I'm very pleased with the resolution that was just passed. This is some of the strongest items. We now have more tools. Oh, he's taking a line out of Ben Bernanke. We now have more tools in our toolbox. Remember the Jerky Boys? I want to show him my toolbox. We now have more tools in our toolbox, and we will continue to use them and put additional sanctions on North Korea until they stop this behavior. In response, Andrew Ross Sorkin countered that we haven't been able to move the needle on China, which seems to be the real mover on this in terms of being able to apply the real pressure. What do you think the issue is? What is the problem? The stunner was revealed in Mnuchin's answer. I think we have absolutely moved the needle on China. I think what they agreed to yesterday was historic. I'd also say I put sanctions on a major Chinese bank. That's the first time that's ever been done. And if China doesn't follow these sanctions, we will put additional sanctions on them and prevent them from accessing the U.S. and international dollar system. And that's quite meaningful. Oh, Mr. Mnuchin, you have no idea how quite meaningful that is. In case anyone hasn't quite figured it out yet, with a massive abundance of data, China and many of the world's countries are gearing up, trying to actively get away from the U.S. dollar system. So by you threatening anybody, us threatening anybody, If you don't do this, you'll have less or no access to our dollar system, international or local. I don't think they give a crap. I think they're coming to they've already come to it, the realization, we're tired of the United States telling the whole world, including us, what to do, what we can't do. They have a problem with some country that they want to run oil pipelines through, but they pretend that it's a humanitarian thing. They go in, they wreck the country, they destroy the country. See Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and now Syria, and probably some other ones we haven't discussed here. Vietnam, these wars, we leave nothing but destruction. We don't fix anything. We're not really there to fix anything. So I think the rest of the world might be a little bit tired of that and are simply saying, you know what, go ahead. Do whatever the hell you're going to do, United States. We don't need you anymore. We're working with the rest of the world. We're going to use our currency, the yuan, Chinese yuan, backed by gold. Why have they been? I've been telling you for years, why has China been buying up gold and silver, both of them, in Russia too, but mainly gold, out of control? Well, the official numbers from the World Gold Council says, I don't think anyone's paying attention to just how much China is taking in on gold. They know what has to come. They're gearing up to be the one to deal with it. And that is a what was that book Obama was holding on the plane when he was getting off the plane? A post-American world or something. Remember that one? It's exactly right. That's where this is heading. Of course, we're grasping at straws and grasping at anything to try to hang on and maintain power. The next thing you know, you're going to see old Webbot prediction hitting. Hey, our people are stranded in other countries and they won't take our dollar. Therefore, they can't get back on a plane and come home. Breaking news. With this kind of crap happening, I don't see, that's going to be a correct Webbot prediction one of these days. And I keep telling you, man, some people sit on the sideline, and I understand the cryptos. There's a lot of money to be made in there. But, man, precious metals has a 5,000-year or more history of being money and saving people financially throughout the, thousands of years now. So, again, go to Silver Doctors, sdbullion.com/JSNIP4. Get your 10-ounce silver bar at spot price. You can also click the link in this video and all my videos in the description box to get that same deal. New customers only, 10-ounce freaking bar at spot price. Again, if I was new to this and I see what cryptos are doing, I see what silver's doing, gold and silver, and I still see the manipulation over there in the gold and silver. Believe me, I understand what the cryptos do. I definitely would be in that game. But I would also be in precious metals, at least a little bit. If I don't have a whole lot of money to play with, I'll get a little bit into some silver, and then, okay, let's go play the crypto game. And then as the crypto game makes you maybe 50%, 100% profits, whatever it is, you take some of that profit, dump it into metals. Hard metals, physical metals that you hold in your hand. Again, sdbullion.com/JSNIP4. And to underscore his point, the Treasury Secretary also said that in North Korea, economic warfare works. I made it clear that the president was strongly considering, and we sent a message that anybody that wanted to trade with North Korea, we would consider them not trading with us. We can put on economic sanctions to stop people trading. Again, and here's the thing. You might argue, well, North Korea, nuclear war, okay. But how about the rest of the damn countries on the planet that we've intervened in for, again, I'm telling you, for oil and other reasons. It's not there for humanitarian purposes. It never has been. So what about all those? We also would say, oh, we're putting sanctions on that one. We're putting sanctions on that one. And if any of you mess with them and trade with them, you're basically trading with the enemy too. We're going to have to deal with you guys. Sanctions on you. At what point do these other countries say we've had enough of this United States police state across the damn planet? You are not the world police. And now you're telling us we can't trade with people. I mean, think about it. Here we are on the other side of the damn planet from North Korea. And we're so involved, we're so engaged, we got to do something. China's right next door. There's a bunch of other countries right next door. Why aren't they all up in arms? Why don't they seem to care too much? for some odd reason. It's in their backyard, right? And we're telling the people whose backyard this is in, we'll put sanctions on you if you don't do something. Excuse me, that's like, Miami coming up to Tampa, Florida, telling us how to run things over here, and we're going to put HOAs in the whole county and city, and we're going to teach you. Whoa, no, we got our own county, we got our own system of government here. You guys go back down to Miami. This is Tampa, we got our own thing. Thanks, but yeah, no. Piss off and get back to your own land. And that's within our own country, within our own state. Here we are doing this across the planet to sovereign countries, one way or the other. Again, not to say that the North Koreans, Papa who passed away and now son is not little nut jobs, but again, they've had the same capability for how long? Years. Remember Iran, 2006 and 7. Oh, Iran, the weapons of WMDs, they're going to have nukes. They're making nukes underground. Why aren't we all up and down Iran's throat right now? Another country clear across the planet from us. All of a sudden, we're quiet about Iran. No, Iran's fine. Don't worry about it. It's cool. Not worried about them at all. Now we're North Korea. Is it possible that we're so amped up about North Korea because our two main enemies, if you will, Russia and China, are over in that general part of the planet? And we need a reason. I'm just going to ask a question. Has North Korea attacked anybody? Nuke or no nuke? Anything? Any weapon? Did they attack? Have they done so yet? And we're getting all amped up. We have nukes. Russia has nukes. China has nukes. Israel has nukes. Pakistan has nukes. Did I say India? Well, tons of people have them, but they're not crazy. Well, are you sure? Define crazy. John McCain almost became president. Imagine nukes in that son of a gun's hands. So in other words, to force compliance with the North Korean sanctions, Mnuchin threatened Beijing with not only trade war, but also lockout from the dollar system, i.e. SWIFT, something the U.S. did back in 2014 and 2015 when it blocked off several Russian banks as relations between U.S. and Russia imploded. Of course, whether the U.S. will be willing to go so far as to use the nuclear option and pull the dollar plug on its biggest trade partner, in the process immediately unleashing an economic depression domestically and globally, is a different matter. So far, Washington has been reluctant to impose economic sanctions on China over concerns of possible retaliatory measures from Beijing and the potentially catastrophic consequences for the global economy. Washington runs a $350 billion annual trade deficit with Beijing, while the People's Bank of China also holds over $1 trillion in U.S. debt. Ironically, the biggest hurdle to the implementation of the just-passed sanctions may be the president himself. Quote, "We think it's just another very small step, not a big deal," end quote, Trump told reporters at the start of a meeting with Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak. I don't know if it has any impact, but it certainly was nice to get a 15-0 vote. But those sanctions are nothing compared to what ultimately will have to happen, said Trump, who has vowed to not allow North Korea to develop a nuclear ballistic missile capable of hitting the United States. Separately, at a hearing of the House Foreign Affairs Committee on Tuesday, Republican Chairman Ed Royce said the U.S. should target major Chinese banks, including Agricultural Bank of China Ltd. And China Merchants Bank Co., for aiding Kim's regime. Russia also came in for criticism. Assistant Treasury Secretary Marshall Billingsley said in prepared remarks to the committee that North Korea bank representatives operate in Russia in flagrant disregard of the very resolutions adopted by Russia at the UN. Isn't it amazing? The two biggest problems for us, biggest enemies we would ever have, is Russia and China. And we can just continue. We can tie China to North Korea. We can try Russia to North Korea. We can tie them to Iran as well. We can tie them to anybody we need to tie them to. Again, my opinion. I think we're messing with North Korea because we need to be a little bit closer to the bigger problems, and that's China and Russia. Formidable opponents. That's what this is about. Was it Einstein that said something, a famous quote? Was it Einstein? How can one simultaneously prepare for peace? Or how can one prepare for peace while simultaneously preparing for war? Something like that, right? Prepare for peace while simultaneously preparing for war. That's a damn good question. So anyways, we'll see what happens with all this crap, but death of the dollar, baby, death of the dollar. This is the kind of stuff that happens. Russia, China, especially China, is just going to get to the point where we've had enough. They've already had to have gotten to that point. They wouldn't have been creating these other systems to take over what we can currently control. They wouldn't be doing that if they wanted to continue playing with us and playing nice and using our system and our dollar system and the SWIFT banking system. They've got their own. What do you think they're doing it for? Why have I been talking about this for the last few years? Preparing you for the day when this kind of crap happens. It's not going to be a good day. Where are we going to get all of our cheap goods from if China pulls the plug? Well, Americans will start creating factories again and put people back to work. Okay, that's not going to happen in a day or two or a week or even a month. It's going to take a long time to get that infrastructure going. And then you think you're going to get it quote-unquote cheap? You're going to buy American from Americans with the American dream, paying their high mortgages, high rents, high everything, and therefore they're going to have to charge you what it's actually worth, which is more than you thought it was worth, and you're not going to like the prices you get from your fellow Americans, which then causes everything to come down in price. Housing, everything. I mean, we may already see that before we even get to that point. All this high-priced crap has to come crashing down. We need a massive reset. And it might just happen when something like this, when we finally realize, okay, China's pulling the whole world onto their system, and we're essentially the bully all this time, who is now sitting back, no one to even bully because no one's even coming to the playground anymore. They created a whole different playground, way more massive than our playground, way better than our playground, and they're not inviting us to play. Matter of fact, we're not even allowed in there. As soon as we step in, this automated thing grabs us and throws us out. We can't even bully people. They won't come to our playground anymore. And we can't go to theirs. We're not allowed in. Then what happens? Right? That's why I want you guys, myself included, to take these cryptocurrencies and run. Flip them. They go up, whatever. And I know some of y'all are sitting back waiting on, $5,000 Veritasium. Cliff High said so, when it hits the exchanges. Maybe that's going to happen. He's been very accurate with his reports. Maybe it's going to happen, but maybe by the time that happens, it's way too far down the line. We've already seen, $300-something price Veritasium. I don't know if I said Ether and Veritasium. That's what I meant, Veritasium. Bottom line is, if there's a freaking good profit, take the damn profit. Take the profit. Do something with it. Invest in more cryptos so you can spread it out amongst several others. I had a lady, Peggy, email me this morning. She emails me all the time. Hey, I'm in this one, Pillar and Wild and Veritasium and Populous, and man, they're not really looking real good. I'm like, well, just an FYI, both Populous and Veritasium went crazy high, especially Veritasium, but Populous jumped out of the gates fantastically. Like, what do you mean you're not doing good? Like, how are you not doing good even just sitting on, even at Veritasium today's prices? You should be doing phenomenal. It's $89, I think, last time I checked, like the low. We got it for $6. Some of us got it for $2. But I asked her, how are you not up? Like, what? And I said, maybe you got in afterwards, like after the prices went up, and then you got in, or what? I'm not sure. I was just asking. Yeah, we know the story of Pillar goes up, comes back down to 10 cents, 8 cents, up, back up, high again, 12 cents. Bounces around. Wild is brand new. Wild, it just got released. But again, there's a bunch of other ones done great. OMG, Litecoin. We talk about those two. In all fairness, no one's going to be able to come out here and pick only winners of all these cryptos, especially when there's several of them that we're all talking about here. I've probably got 15 or more that we've been talking about here. I've got a spreadsheet of all the different ones, that I've got some skin in the game kind of a thing. There's probably about 15 or so in there if I had to guess. And of course, a few of those, a lot of skin in the game, as you know. I went heavy on Litecoin, I went heavy on OMG. Because I think what Cliff said is good. He's absolutely right. And we saw the big jump in Litecoin from 42 bucks to 86 or so. So again, I could tell anybody, you could have took your profit then. You gotta. And I told her this too. I was like, if you have a phone, get the Blockfolio app, and you can kind of put in what you have, and set alerts that when it goes up above this, level price, which it's not really a price, it's more like what it is in Ethereum or whatever. But anyways, you can still set it. When it goes above this amount, let me know, and it will actually, ping your phone and let you know, hey, the price has been hit. You could set up some triggers for Pillar or for Wild Token or for any of them, honestly. And if it goes above a level where you say, you know what, I want out on this level, and you make a profit, great. So there's, but again, that's for you guys. I can't sit here and, be everybody's personal alarm. Hey, it's time to do this. It's time to do that. No, you've got your tokens. I helped you figure out how to navigate that space, navigate away and sell when you feel you need to sell. But I do all this. Again, I'm trying to get out of debt. Not that we have really hardly any debt. Closing this house. Next goal, pay the sucker off as fast as possible. I'd love to be able to use these crypto profits. Where are these things going to be next year? They may all be doing phenomenally well. Therefore, you may be setting some of your prices to sell now. Like, okay, if Pillar goes to this or whatever goes to that, I'm going to go ahead and sell. But what happens if next year comes around and they're crazy higher? Again, it's a thing we all have to think about. And my situation is different from yours. I may be able to unload some on a small profit, whereas someone else is banking on it, doing very well so that they can make a decent amount back because they didn't have a lot to put in to begin with, that kind of thing. Again, I can't speak for everybody. And I haven't actually had to sell off any at a little bit of a profit, to be honest with you. Only time I've sold off was when there was huge profits. So, again, I can't speak for everybody. But anyways, this is the death of the dollar. Webbot warned us way in advance, and here it is in our face. It's happening. And we're prodding and poking China until China's going to ultimately say, you know what, we've had enough. Like, visually and verbally, we've had enough. We don't care about trading partners U.S. We're done. We're going to unload these $1 trillion of treasuries onto the market. The hell with you guys. We're now going to work with the rest of these countries that have been screwed over by you guys, by the way, and have a nice life. And then you're going to see mass resignations, Congress, Senator, everybody's going to resign because they don't want you upset at them. And then you and I may have to say, hey, I'm JStep4 from YouTube. I'm running for Senate or whatever one day because we got to clean up this mess that these bastards left us. And now we got to fix our country. And now that we're in power, the rest of these countries don't want to work with us anyways because they don't believe that, we're going to do anything good. So now what do? Well, we got to fix our own country, Believe me, I would run for office if it came down to it. Ultimately, I think I would run for office. Senate, I might run as for Senate. JSnip4. Mayor Goldie Wilson. I like the sound of that. Back to the Future. I'm sorry, you wait. One of these days, I'm going to clean up this town. Good, you can start by sweeping the floor. No, he's right. He's going to be mayor. I'm out. Take care.